almost can't even say welcome to the Healthy Hustle podcast because I was sitting here reminiscing, laughing, having just good, positive vibe talks. Clearly, you can see this chick's face. If you don't know this woman, know her, love her, like her, follow her. Her name is Lauren Courtney, and we are going to dive in today in an unstructured, flowing way and talk about how to get the hell out of your way. Lauren's going to just break down what she does because I don't even want to do it a disservice. So, Lauren, can you tell everyone who you are and what you do?
Who I am and what I do. I will try to not do a disservice to who I am and what I do. So I am all of the things. Upon meeting you, I was a holistic health coach. That's where it all began. I flowed into being a healthy chef, an intuitive chef. And 4 years ago, I became a Holy Fire Reiki Master. And that opened me up to my mediumship. It opened me up to working with a shaman, to then studying healing the organs with a modality called true body intelligence. And most recently, actually last week, I became certified in IET, which is Integrative Energy Therapy. So I am a spiritual coach, I'm an energetic healer, and I am the woman who you will work with and will not allow you to spiritually bypass. We're going to go into the shadows, we're going to dive deep, and I am going to help you find the light and your soul's purpose and why you chose to come into this lifetime.
We're all going to take a deep breath.
Casual.
I love about this woman, and something that I know in the health and wellness industry, we have this passion, we have this vision, we have this deep either pain or this deep purpose that motivates us to go all in. We often lose what you guys see with Lauren, and that is the excitement and that confidence and that belief that no matter what you create, as long as it's such good intention and you know people want it and it comes from your gut, that this girl is selling to you without even making it feel uncomfortable. And so, Lauren, let's roll back the wheels a little and go back to old school OG days. Just for every coach who's like, oh my God, I just looked at her Instagram. She's so stunning. Her profile is so great. I love her pattern. Oh my God, how is she building this? Bring them back to the days, because I know one of the biggest problems, and I know this from when I started in business in general, is we're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be like her. And you're the opposite. You're like, woman balls to the wall. We are all perfect, all wonderful, and I'm going to just go after my dreams. So take us back there.
Oh my God. Well, I was saying before how I've been on Instagram for like 8 years. And at the beginning of Instagram, my sister, she was a photographer. She still is a photographer. It's not her main thing. But Instagram is for photographers. And she's like, you need to go on Instagram to look at my photos. All these people I'm connecting with in Australia. I was like, well, I'm not a photographer. So at the time I was working in recovery homes as a private chef, and I started posting food. So it's funny, as I was saying before we went on live, I was scrolling back to all my old photos, and oh my God, they are so beautifully ugly, and like there are no captions, it's just hashtags. Like all hashtags, and it's a hot mess. Like it's totally a hot mess, but it's what I was passionate about at the time, and it's evolved. Like I am an evolver. I am the person that takes leaps all the time, even when I don't even realize I'm leaping. So it's beautiful to like. Listen, you don't have to scroll back my 3,000 photos, but if you choose to, you can fully see the evolution of. Yeah, you can see my evolution from pure chef life and health coach to having my spiritual awakening. And I'll share a little bit about that. 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, my best friend passed away. And the day he crossed over, he began communicating with me. And at the time, I had no idea I was a medium. It was more like, I told my dad one day, I'm like, hey, I'm a medium. He's like, oh, really? I thought you were small. Like, that's kind of the family I grew up in. And when that happened, everything changed for me. And that's ultimately what led me to finding Reiki. And I moved out to California and left chefing behind. Like, the universe was like, you're gonna do Reiki now. And I was like, but I have like a whole business in New York where I'm a chef and things are really good. And spirit, as I was starting to learn, was like, oh, well, that's really nice, but you're gonna leave that life and this new one is gonna appear. So I moved out to California and became a spiritual guide, coach, little bit of chefing in the cannabis industry. Like, this whole other clearly new world. I was working in the recovery space, and the next thing I knew, I'm in cannabis. So I went on this journey, and you can watch it on Instagram, though I've archived a few of the cannabis photos these days, so now that I've chosen conscious sobriety in the last year and a half. And it's been this evolution, but during my time in California, I started really diving deep into the energy work. And then it evolved. 2 years ago, I moved to Miami. And in that time, moving to Miami, I started working with coaches on my business. I started stepping into, okay, how do I share what I've learned with people? Because I don't even know how to make sense of who I am sometimes. I just know I'm really fucking good at what I do. As some people say, I'm the real deal, which I still think is hilarious when people say that to me. I'm like, okay, like, thanks, I'll take it. So it naturally evolved. I started working with a mentor I had met. Her name's Cassandra. She helped me get comfortable with the idea, like, you can have a spiritually based business. And over the last 9 months, I've been working with business coaches. I've also had mentors in the energetic space, and through all of the modalities and people I began working with, all of a sudden, Lauren Courtney Heals was born, where I was formerly a company known as Hint of Greens. And I took ownership in it of who I was. I stopped hiding my name first and foremost, because people were like, oh, that's Hint of Greens. Like, when people knew me as Hint of Greens, and I was able to come back into my truest self. And it's funny, my mom said to me at some point during my awakening, well, we named you Lauren Courtney because we figured you would drop your last name and Lauren Courtney would be your stage name. And I was like, well, someone might have wanted to tell me that, like, when I was younger. So
I mean, I think that's, even when we were talking about the expansion and the growth of your business, I love how you shared even just that story, because what coaches who are listening to this don't know is you did have a very stable business in New York. You had trademarked a protein bowl that you had created and were working with a lot of different people and did have your name known. And I remember even our conversations where you just were saying, this doesn't feel like, this isn't what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. You were making money. You weren't like living, having somebody else pay your rent. And you did choose to really listen to your gut. And I remember you saying, I'm moving out to California. I met this person. We had this unbelievable conversation. I have this opportunity. And the only reason I say that is a lot of coaches, when they hear stories, they go right from chapter 1 to 12, instead of realizing how much consistent work that you did, consistent connections, consistently putting yourself out there, and every other opportunity that was in New York, California, Miami, is because you showed up.
Yeah, I could write a trilogy. I when I was living in LA, I was like, it's not going to be the title of my book anymore, so I could share it. But I was like, my book is going to be called The Evolving Hippie. And it's like the New York years, the LA years, and the Miami years. And it's no longer going to be the name of my book, but that's what it felt like. I was like, I'm living this multiple part journey. And it was this giant unfolding and unraveling. And I didn't clearly see any of it coming, right? Like, the curtain, the veil was always there, and it would get thinner and thinner, but only as I would really take the leap, because that's the thing. We have to be willing to take the leap, be willing to trust God, be willing to trust the universe, whatever you're comfortable with. I talk about God. That's what I'm comfortable with at this point. So like, I have this deep trust in God, but that wasn't until my best friend passed away, because I felt like this deep connection with the universe that I'd never felt before. And prior to that, as you were saying, like, I was a chef and money was good. I had a beautiful apartment in Gramercy Park. My family is in New York. My friends were here. And all of a sudden, when he passed, I realized that my work relationships, a lot of them were toxic and unhealthy. My friendships, a lot of them were toxic and unhealthy, but I wouldn't have I was stuck in it. Like, we get so stuck because it's easy. It's easy to stay the same. It's hard to change. It's hard to pick up and change your life. Like, that is fucking scary. It's overwhelming.
I think that's the part that, one, I love that you just say that. I'm going to literally take that and just put huge letters, like Lauren says, because what you just said is where often we fall short in building a business, whether it's spiritual or whether it's more of the physical nutrition part, whatever it is that you feel that you have to help somebody with. We often think, oh, well, somebody's not going to pay me for this. But we fail to understand the human problem, which is that we can only change in connection with somebody, in community, in support. It's really hard to sit there and self-modulate, do that analyzing, look at every part, and not feel the old stories and the old stuff pull us back.
Yeah. And it's interesting. I was talking to my cousin the other day, and she's like a second or third cousin. We're really close. She's in her late 50s, and she's lived in New York her whole life. She's single, and she has all these things going on. And she looked at me and she goes, I am just so impressed how you picked up and changed your life. Like, you just like picked up and went to LA, and then you picked up and went to Miami. I wish I had that in me. And I was like, listen, we all have it in us, but it's a matter of being stronger than the fear, because the fear of success, as we know, is just as strong as the fear of failure. So it's finally saying, you know what? Fuck it. If I fail, cool. At least I tried. So I got to a place where I was like, you know what? I'm not getting any younger, and I know what I want for myself. Like, I may not know exactly what the career looks like. I may not know exactly what the family looks like. I may not even know exactly where my house is going to be, but I know the things that I want, and I know they're not here in this energy that I'm sitting in. So I need to be willing to take a chance. And the worst thing that happens is I come home. And it's funny because I'm in New York right now visiting my family and at my parents' apartment as we're talking. And so I do come home, but it's not a backwards coming home. It's not like, oh, I'm going back to New York. It's like, I'm going to New York as this brand new person, this brand new energy, this brand new light that brings so much depth and warmth and love into a space, as opposed to the heaviness that I was walking around with without even knowing I was walking around in a heaviness because I was so afraid of my own shadow.
But the one part that I wanted to ask you about, and I think this is where a lot of us just like, we wait for that perfect moment. And before we were recording, I must have said, I think 7. I was like, I should hit record. I should hit record, because the conversation we were having about that, just taking that action, even when you're scared, even when you don't know what to do, even when you don't even know what it's going to look like. I said to you, that's the part that I've always admired about you. The part, just like your cousin said, but even I think more because I'm not saying your cousin doesn't, but I was meaning from a part of building a business where you're taking a lot of chances on failure, a lot of chances on, are people even going to get what I'm doing? Are they going to pay for this? All these already business questions, let alone putting yourself out there, which I do think is different from building a book in other businesses. We're putting a transformation out there that has to vibe with somebody. And then your answer was, oh, did you see the program I just put out? I turned to you and said, I can't tell you how many times in knowing you for 7 years, I think, 7 years, how many times you would call or I would say, I'm thinking of you. And you'd be like, oh my God, it's so crazy you're calling. I just put together this program. I don't even know what, I felt like I had to get it out there and I just took a chance and I just hit the send button. And that is a part of human nature that has to be contagious. And it is something that you do naturally, even though you feel the fears and everything. When you felt a little stuck, because I know we all feel stuck in our life. Some of us have an easier time unstucking ourselves. How did you still show up and take those chances, even though you felt like it maybe wasn't perfect yet?
So I've started to learn that if it was something that, I used to do stuff around food programs and nothing ever felt right. It felt like I was selling. And anytime I would go into it, that's where I would get stuck. But when I evolved into healing, I never felt like I was forcing. I never felt that I was selling. And instead it felt so soul aligned that it was like, you need to put this into the world. Like, this is bigger than you. This is your purpose. This is your job here in this lifetime. So it would almost be that it was like I was being pushed. Like, it was like, get this out. Where I used to feel very forced and maybe I would sell like 2 or 3 or 4 of whatever I was selling, where now, I just launched today my, it's called The Main Event, which is a collaboration of my Glow Up Your Chakra program and Glow Up Your Business for personal development and business development, like in 14 weeks. And this stuff lights me up. Like, I haven't led this program in a while, and I didn't think I was going to. I actually turned it evergreen earlier this year. I've been working with it that way. And when Spirit was like, hey, it's time for you to group coach again, I was like, yes, I am here for it. But of course, like, I'm being guided to sell it to 30 people. Are there 30 people that want this? I can't get stuck in those thoughts. So instead, what I really do is I visualize, like, oh my God, I can see the clients. I see all 30 of them pressing the buy now button. They're all taking the action. They've all been waiting for this offer. They've all been waiting for this opportunity. And I, play mind games with myself that is already happened. And time is catching up. So all that's taking place is time is catching up. It's already happened. They've already accepted this offer. It's December. We finished the program already, and all of them are thriving. And the clients that I typically call in are clients that are similar to me, that are where I was 6 months ago, 6 years ago. Someone that signed up yesterday, she's like, okay, I'm going to hit the button. I'm really scared, but I'm also really excited, but I'm really scared, but I'm really excited. I was like, yes, that's the client I want. That client that's going to take the leap and believe in themselves, even if they're like, I don't know how I'm going to afford this. Like, I have been there. I remember even with you, I was like, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can afford coaching right now. I'm not sure if I can afford mentors. I remember doing my Reiki Master training, and she was doing it in 3 payments for me. I was like, oh my God, can I even afford this? But can I afford this? What I've realized is, can I afford this actually means, am I worthy of this?
Yeah.
Am I worthy of the clients? Am I worthy of having this program? Am I worthy of being seen in this world? And the truth of the matter is, I've done so much work around my self-worth, so much work around money and being seen, that, like, yeah, my program is important. And as Marianne Williamson would say, like, who am I not to offer this? Yeah. So I've done so much of the mindset work to propel myself forward, and it doesn't stop. And you know that it doesn't stop. We're constantly doing the work. I'm constantly going deeper and deeper with my own healing and modalities, so I can step further into the world more and more. Because even what I'm doing now, like the group coaching and all of these things, it's great, it's amazing, it's wonderful. I know that this isn't my end game. I know that there is something even bigger for me that's coming. And right now it's my purpose to awaken as many people as I can and hold space for as many light workers to awaken, so there can be this next level community doing the work I'm doing now, so I can move on to be working at a different vibration as I continue to ascend higher. And that's what I noticed. Like I'm like a trainer. I'm like a spiritual trainer.
But I agree with everything that you just said. I know that many of us, in all different circumstances, in all different experiences, most often come to this business with some lack of self-confidence, even if we appear that way on a face, alive or face to face with, a person. We have that inner, fear. And the part that I think is really important for people to hear about in what you just explained is that you actually do it. And I say that because, I have 3 books on my floor of stuff that clients sent me on, like, money mindset and aligning with your purpose. And they were like, oh, you would love this. This is so what you teach. But we also really have to do that. We have to take action and go and get our heart healed, get our soul, old stories. And when I sat there, and I've known you, like I said, for 7 years, having this kind of discussion and interaction and listening, it's that you consistently still do that work. And you did do that even when you were scared, because that part of you that said, I feel stuck, felt more terrible, more painful, more like that spiritual suicide that we have than taking a chance on possibly failing. And the second thing that I know you do, and I see a lot of coaches struggle in that paralysis, is you do put your stuff together. And you don't just sit and go, I'm going to manifest this, I'm going to see it, I'm going to do this work, I'm going to clear space for it, I'm going to sage, I'm going to get my chakras right, I'm going to go to the beach, I'm going to play my drums, my sound bowls.
Well, I have a lot of that too.
But you do all that, and you still also block out that time to say, I am doing all this, but I'm also going to put this on paper. Or I'm going to, I know you love to even write your programs out on actual paper, but you get that idea together. And I see a lot of people fail at that part. They are overwhelmed, they are in pain, or they are seeing people, but they don't take that gut action, that like, I know I'm meant to do this, and take that next step. Do you agree?
Absolutely. And I think that's truly where the spiritual bypassing comes in. And it's like, if you don't do the work on yourself, if you don't show up for yourself fully, because I do think there's a period of time where it's like, listen to the sound healings, go to the beach, play with your crystals, align with your chakras. And that was my time in LA. But then it got to a point where the universe was like, yeah, you can continue to do this, or now you can show up and actually teach what you've learned and make a difference and make an impact. So a lot of people get stuck at that space. It's like, oh, well, this feels good, I've found healing, I'm whole. But it's like, we're never done healing. I mean, you have to keep going. And that's how we continue to ascend. That's how we continue to grow our businesses. I remember, I guess it was a little over a year ago, I was still smoking cannabis. I'm a huge proponent of how it worked for me for my healing journey, but I found myself getting really bored. I was getting bored of my work. I was just bored in general. And I heard this very clear message, give up cannabis for 33 days. And I was like, okay. And it was very specific. Like, if you give up cannabis for 33 days, and such client shows up that you know you want in this life, would you be willing to give it up forever? And I was like, yes, I will give it up forever, because I want something bigger than this. And within those 33 days, a mentor presented himself to me. And it was about a year ago that I started working with him, and his name's Christopher. And the work I study with him is true body intelligence, where I do healing on the physical organs, and I pull stress and trauma out of the body, both physically and energetically. So I could do the work in person or at a distance with different modalities I've learned. And I had a call with him on Monday night of this week. a check-in, and it's been just about a year. I've done 3 levels with him, and he looked at me, he goes, "You're ready for your next level." And I had 2 reactions. I was like, fuck yes, like I'm excited, let's do this. And also like, oh God, what am I about to shed? This is that scary moment of like, I'm about to level up. What is it that I have to let go of? What am I not even seeing yet that's going to be released in order for me to expand? And that's where a lot of people get stuck. They don't want to go further. Or I'm someone that's like, all right, let me process it for 24 hours. And all right, so should I book my flight for next week to LA? So it's a matter of like, how willing are you?
I would say for anybody listening who is more of the me, like, I don't know if I would book a flight. Yes, I would be willing. I would say there is the happy medium, meaning that what I always hear from you is you'll talk about pain and you'll talk about that feeling of being stuck. I know the gift that you have and the gift that, and everyone shows up with their gift in a different way, is that you can say, screw it. Like, am I willing to trade this uncomfortable pain because I'm already there? Like, why not just continue to actually go for it and take a chance? And that's just a different level of pain. And I truly believe that most of us in this health and wellness space, whether it's intuitive, whether it's spiritual, acupuncture, massage, yoga, I mean, in any different way, we're all in some kind of pain when we don't feel that we are really sharing what we know we were meant to share. And I think that the work that you've done and the person that you are and just how you show up in life, you're so in tune to that. You're so in tune to listening to those messages that that in that moment there's almost not even a choice anymore. It's like
there's not a choice.
So
that's exactly how I feel, that there isn't a choice, because my purpose here is so big. And, you know, I'll share a little, my friend who passed, he passed of a drug overdose. And last year, one of my best friends since before kindergarten, she passed of an overdose. And I worked in recovery, obviously, and I began to realize my own hero's journey. And for 10 years of my life, I was prescribed painkillers, muscle relaxers, anti-inflammatory medicine, and ADD medicine for a series of reconstructive jaw surgeries and being diagnosed with ADD in high school. So for 10 years of my life, I was on pharmaceutical drugs. And at a point in time, I decided, like, no more. And then at that point, I was drinking, I was using cannabis, and now, as someone who is a year and a half sober of alcohol and a little over a year sober of cannabis, I realize that this is a big part of my work. And I will not put myself in a box and say I'm only here to work with people with addiction, because addiction is so much bigger than drugs, alcohol. It's food, it's worthiness, it's lack, it's money, it's what is stuck in your root chakra that needs to be ripped out, removed, and replanted so you can actually see your authentic self that you came into this world as before mom, dad, sister, brother, teacher, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever it is, put new stories in your head that took you away, because I want to bring you back to your authentic self and not the culturally created self that like is on the outside.
I don't even know if I have anything to say right after that. I mean, I thought it was actually going to go on for a little more. I was like, I'm going to breathe through this. I'm just going to listen. And what I see in you, which I know is attainable for anybody, is to listen to that gut intuition. Often you and I have even talked about it. You think you're like crazy. You're like, wait, I know this was said. I saw this in a dream. I felt literally tapped on a shoulder, ripped my face to the side. I saw that billboard. I can't tell anyone who's listening how many times you and I have been walking, you're like, we're counting numbers. I mean, you've always been searching for a way to understand this to understand your purpose and how to navigate this world in a way that is not exhausting, in a way that's not depleting, that is not depriving, and that feels expansive and easier. Easier with how much pain there is and how much stuff in this world doesn't make sense for many of us that happens. But the part that I know people are going to feel is contagious with you and addictive in a good way is to be around people that are not uncomfortable to look at their dark demons and to say, here it is. These are the tools. And if we work together, we journey together, we're in each other's space, like we will naturally heal each other. We will naturally support each other because you will rise with the people. It's like the old thing of playing tennis. Like you'll play up to that person if they're a better tennis player. Same thing.
Absolutely.
We put in our life.
And how I, like when I bring people in, whether it be one-on-one coaching or group coaching, I share with them, the moment you make the energetic exchange with me, the moment you pay that first invoice, I am holding you in the 12th heaven, as we call it in Holy Fire Reiki. I am holding you at the highest heaven with God, with Jesus, with Holy Spirit, with the Ascended Masters, with like all of like my team that I work with. We are holding you there for the 14 weeks we're together, the 8 weeks we're together, whatever it is. And my intention is that when we're done, you can hold yourself there. Because how I work and what I've been guided in my work is what we transmute within ourselves, we can then transmute into for others. So if you're dealing with something, it's likely you've found me as a coach. It's likely you're listening to this specific episode because there's something that is really going to, like, you're going to be like, oh, that relates to me in a big way. I need to work with her because I've transmuted something within myself that I can now help you transmute within yourself.
100%. And I would say for anybody who is listening, coach or anybody, is that we don't get to that next place. And you and I were talking about this, I believe, even before we recorded, just about human nature and why it is so important for us to not doubt ourselves. Step past the fear, do that inner talk where we're talking to ourselves, like in the shower, in the car, everywhere, saying, no, you will do this, because if not, you will drown and somebody else will. And to just really to not be scared to look at the stuff that's that's uncomfortable, because it's what you said in the beginning. Whether you're healing your body, your mind, your soul, your business, you got to have your stuff right. Doesn't mean it needs to be perfect, but it's got to be checked. And that's what working with you is like. And I know that from being friends with you. I know that from watching you for many years. And what I hope coaches see is that it really is possible. And it starts with, as you said, listening to yourself, like putting yourself around other people where you are going to excel because they believe in you. They're holding you in that space. And this kind of work that you do is so needed, not just now, but really at every step, in the day.
And I think one of the biggest things, which I know you'll agree with, is coaching. Sorry, the noise in New York. Hopefully it won't be too loud. Coaches need coaches. If you're a coach, you need a team who can hold space for you and your growth. Right now, I have a team of 2 business coaches. I have another coach that I'm working with who does some energetics and business coaching. I have my mentor in the true body intelligence work that I work with. So I have 4 people that I can constantly, and I'm studying a course in miracles with someone. So I have 5 people who are holding space for me on a huge vibration, and I'm constantly investing in myself and furthering myself. Without that, I wouldn't be able to continue my ascension, and I'd be kind of stuck here flatline.
Yeah. And I think that's such a great message to even end on, because coaches often, we get stuck in the fear. We get stuck in the fear if I hire this person, I mean, I know I've had to work on money mindset for a long time. Not to say, oh, what if I lose this money? Gain experience, perspective that literally changes life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm so thankful and grateful that you came into my life when you did, because you also were able to show me the possibility of what it even looks to like to be an entrepreneur. At the time, I was just being a private chef, having graduated from holistic health coach school, and I was still working for other people at the beginning of being a chef. And then I went out on my own, and, you know, I mean, to have evolved from there to here in 8 years is something I never would have fathomed, but I was able to look at other people and see other people, and also allow people to see me, which I think is important too. Don't be afraid to let someone look at you and say, hey, I think this is kind of like, maybe this is something you need to look at within yourself, and maybe something you need to work on, and something you need to do. And I know at a point in time, I would have found that so judgmental. But what I've learned being a coach myself is, I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to love you. I'm here to show you the light that I see within you so you can see it.
I 100% agree. Every coach that I had, everyone that I've been blessed to coach, were so letting go old stuff to make space to shine in whatever you want to, whatever you want to shine.
I'm gonna move for a second. We're just gonna move to another room because it seems they've
real life as Lauren is being not hearing the Miami waves, but hearing the New York drilling.
New York drilling. I forgot the joys of New York.
Everyone just tell everyone where to find you, and also just what's the best way if they do want to work with you.
So you can find me at my website, laurencourtneyheals.com. I'm also on Instagram, laurencourtneyheals.com, or at Lauren Courtney Heals, and Facebook, Lauren Courtney Heals. I've finally got it together that everything is aligned and matches.
And guys, are struggling, seriously, she does so many amazing, like, free stuff so you can see exactly what Lauren is like in her business, and you'll get a really good sense of what it does to actually show up. Because I
have tons of free sound baths and card readings on Instagram, on IGTV. I post stuff all the time. I do lives as often as I can. I have some free sound baths on YouTube as well. I host I have a new membership called Reiki Live. So every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time, I host a Reiki class, and it's $111 a month. So it's about $28 a week. It's a group healing opportunity, which is really powerful. I have one-on-one coaching, which I do limited. So if you're interested in that, definitely send me an email and I can get you on the wait list. And then I have my group container, which is available right now, and it launches September 1st.
I am not only so proud of you, but I'm just happy for you. I think that's the beauty of knowing coaches in the space, is when that creation happens and the birth of something and see it come to fruition. That's epic. So guys, you know where to follow this woman. Please, if you are feeling off, if you're doubting yourself, if you're listening to the negative Nellies that say to you, don't do it, it's not going to be good enough, get yourself out there. And that doesn't mean perfect platform. That means get your message, your specific voice out there, believe in yourself, and work on that part in between your two ears so that you can actually show up and show people what it would actually be like to work with. Guys, please, and miss it again, follow this lady. Not only just her food is amazing, but clearly you can tell her spirit and her soul. All right, guys, we will see you later.